What's up, guys? How are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning episode of the Daily Juice Podcast. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt. And this, as we tape overnight, is the fifth show I've done today. This was a marathon. So if my voice sounds a little shaky or I say something wrong, my throat kills, my voice is sore. Like, this was a work day, man. 7 a.m. Pacific time, all the way now here to 9:30 Pacific time. So we don't know the outcome of the actual day yesterday. There were 5 plays we made yesterday. Big card. Cavaliers do not come in. Drake does. BYU is currently in action. They are down by 2 to Arizona. If that misses, it's a 2-3 day. It's a losing day. If the BYU play wins, then we wind up about 0.8 for the day. Under for St. John's comes in. Iowa does not. They lose by 9. They do not cover the 7.5. The Iowa play, the St. John's play, those were both from the live stream that we did at 5:30 Eastern time on the BettingPros YouTube channel. So today, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my first NFL Super Bowl player prop and 3 bets in college basketball to give to you guys. A quick look at the record for college basketball so far for us here in 2025. It's been sort of a weird start. We're 20-23. So we'll see where we end up. We're probably going to go 2-2 today. So it's going to be 22-25. So we're still underwater for college basketball. That is the only sport we are underwater on because we are up in the NFL, we're up in NFL props, we're up in college football, we're up in the NBA, although we're 8-4 now in the NBA. We're 6-4 in the NHL. We are 5-3 in NBA player props. And so we are currently up over 8 units for the year, but we'll see what happens. We could be up 9 or maybe 7, depending on what happens with that BYU and Arizona game. So hopefully that game will go our way. If not, we'll pick up the pieces and move on. So 1 NBA, 1 NFL prop for the Super Bowl, and then 3 college basketball plays to give you guys here for today. Let's start with the NFL. This is the play I make every year, right at the front. It's the first play. Shop around, okay? I'm going to give it to you at minus 175 officially, but I'm going to keep on shopping. That's the best price I have found for this prop. So I'm going to lay on NFL for Super Bowl props. I always try to win a half a unit. So I'm betting as much to win a half a unit. This is a little pricey at minus 175, but it's the shortest touchdown. It's the shortest touchdown being under 1.5 yards, meaning the ball has to be on the 1 or inside, and that's where the touchdown happens. Anytime there is a pass interference in the end zone, the ball gets put at the 1. Holding in the end zone, ball gets put at the 1. Players get pushed out all the time at the 1. We've seen the tush push so much from the Philadelphia Eagles. They're a running team. Saquon Barkley in the red zone is going to get a lot of carries. They're going to run Gainwell in the red zone, get them down to the 1 yard line. And then we're inside 1.5 yards for the shortest touchdown. It's minus 175. I'll put 0.87 units down on it to win 0.5. This is a prop bet I make every single year. In most years, it cashes. That's why it's pretty expensive. It's both teams. So we get the Chiefs as much as we get the Eagles on this. The Chiefs could have a drive down to the 1 yard line as well. First prop for the Super Bowl here on Wednesday. Shortest touchdown, under 1.5 yards at minus 175. Again, go ahead and shop that if you can. Now, it's Wednesday. I'll have a prop on Thursday, prop on Friday, prop on Saturday, and then we'll do the full game for you guys coming up on Sunday. So we'll do prop bets 1 a day, and then we'll get into, because we're doing the live stream, but it's me, Pat Fitzmaurice, and Andrew Erickson breaking down the Super Bowl. We're going to have a lot of different picks, plays, and thoughts as we roll through the entire day. So that live stream's at noon Eastern on Sunday for the Super Bowl. They're going to have their player props. They're going to have their plays. They're going to have their breakdown. So I'm going to give it to you guys in bits and pieces, and then we'll recap the whole thing coming up on Sunday. All right, let's go to college basketball for tonight. That play obviously is for Sunday, not for tonight. Let's start here tonight with LSU and Georgia. These numbers are crazy. So LSU on the road is 7-1 to the under this year. They're 5-3 to the under in SEC play. Georgia has not had a game go over yet in the SEC. 9-0 to the under. Now at home, they're just 7-6 to the under. But in the SEC, at home against South Carolina, 133.5. It went under by 2.5 points. At home against Auburn, 146, went under by 8 points. At home against Oklahoma, 146.5, went under by 12.5 points. And at home against Kentucky, 153.5, and the game went under by 2.5 points. You could say, hey, wait a minute, some of these non-conference games, they did go over. But yeah, those games were all at home. Those 6 games that went over were all at home in the non-con. Once we hit SEC play, Georgia is a straight under. Like, it's just an absolute straight under here. 137, that's the total according to KenPom here for this matchup between these two teams in the SEC. 73-64. 142? I mean, the total just seems to be a little bit too high. This is one of those games where you're like, really? It's just a principal play. Bet under. Let's see. I mean, the first move was to the over. 141.5, and the first move was to the over. I don't understand sometimes when we see these numbers. And I mean, the pros, I know what they do with head fakes. I know sometimes they want to drive the number up in order to bet it down. We saw that yesterday with St. John's, but there was a huge discrepancy in the St. John's game. It was 148, and KenPom had it at 142. Game went way under. I mean, it never really even threatened to go over. So sometimes the numbers are just wrong. 142.5. It just moved. I played 142. Let's put it at 142.5. Take 142.5. I don't get this. Why is it going up? It opened at 141. We're now at 142.5. Again, Georgia is 9-0 to the under in the SEC. They're a little bit more, at home, a little over, but okay, maybe they're saying it's too low. 142.5 is too low. Okay, but these are numbers that maybe we finally got there, but like South Carolina was 133.5. Tennessee was 134.5. Those games went under. We're at 142.5. Under. Georgia, LSU, 142.5 for 1.1 units. I'll have to go and rebet and go buy that and get that back. But 142.5, the number just moved. So I like the under. LSU, Georgia, under for 1.1 units. The Creighton Blue Jays are on the road against Providence. This number is 3.5. Feel free to buy it to 3. Okay, so the hook could get us. Buy it to 3. But just like Georgia being unreal, 9-0 to the under in SEC play, the Creighton Blue Jays are 9-1-1 in Big East play. 9-1-1. Like, we bet them against Nova. We bet them against Xavier. We bet them against Seton Hall. Like, this is just keep on betting them. I mean, this is crazy. The only game going back to New Year's Eve, they were 1-point favorites against St. John's, and they didn't cover. Since they got blown out by Georgetown, and they lost badly by 24 points, the Creighton Blue Jays have been unstoppable. They have lost just one game outright, and they haven't covered in one game where they pushed. Everything else has been a win or a cover. They won by 2 against Nova, and they covered. Won by 9 against Xavier, and they covered. Won by 25 against Seton Hall, and they covered. Won by 24 against DePaul. Won by 5 against UConn, and covered. And at home against Providence, they won by 20. You're supposed to bet Providence here. Like, you're supposed to. Providence lost by 20, and now the Jays are just 3.5-point road favorites. Like, this doesn't make any sense. This number should be 5, 6. Number should be way higher. 3.5. Like, they expect Providence to win this game. They're 7-4 in the Big East. They're 6-5 ATS at home. And they covered their last game. They lost by 2 to St. John's on the road. They beat Seton Hall, but they were favored by 3.5, and they won by 2, but they didn't cover. Won by 10 against Georgetown in their last home game as 1-point dogs. Lost by 2 to Villanova as 9.5-point dogs. They've covered 3 of the last 4 games. So maybe you say, all right, this is going to be a good game here, for Providence, and Kim English's team is, they've lost 3 of 5, but they're due to get going here. They're 5-6 in conference. The Jays are 9-2. They're 9-2 in conference. A win here puts them at 10-2. That is ahead of Marquette, who is suddenly 9-3 after losing to St. John's last night and UConn in their last game. Big game for the Jays to go to 10-2, and they would stay only one game behind St. John's, who are 11-1. And the Jays will face on the road, but they'll face St. John's in about 2 weeks. So that's a monster game. St. John's must play Connecticut, then Villanova, both on the road. And the Creighton Blue Jays come back after that at home. Could they split against UConn and Villanova? Very possible. They were chanting, St. John fans were chanting, "We want UConn." You sure? You might see McNeely on Friday night. You might lose that game. And if you lose that game and the Jays win this game, you're 11-2, and the Creighton Blue Jays were turn around, and they would be 10-2 with a game in hand still to play. And those games are not going to be completely easy, but the Jays play Providence tonight. Then they play Marquette, tough game, but they're at home. They play UConn at home, tough game, but it's UConn at home. Okay, the Jays beat UConn at UConn. The Jays have the potential to catch St. John's, but they got to take care of business here against Providence. Again, simply betting the streak. We bet Georgia under 142.5. Creighton Blue Jays minus 3.5 for 1.1 units. And then the last bet, Missouri and Tennessee. Another number that I kind of don't understand. Another number that I'm scratching my head at going like, wait, what's the number here? Tennessee is inconsistent. And I like this Vols team a lot, but the total is 134 for Missouri and Tennessee. Generally speaking, you would say we're going to bet the under for a game involving Missouri and Tennessee. 7-6 to the under at home for Tennessee, but 4-2 to the over for Missouri. 3-6 or 6-3 to the under for Tennessee in the SEC. 5-3 to the under against Missouri, but their last two games have gone over. Mississippi State on the road at 148.5, and Ole Miss at home at 144.5. This number is 134. This number is low. For a Missouri game, this is the lowest number of the season for Missouri. 148.5, 144.5, 148.5, 149.5. Those are the last four games. Now, Tennessee's had a number this low, 134.5, but it was against Georgia. I told you earlier in the podcast what Georgia's like, right? Normally, it's 144.5, 146, 142, 142, because Tennessee is a defensive-minded team. They're 14-8 to the under on the year. But I think this number is too low. I think we finally got to a number that's simply just too low. I'm going to kind of go and flip the script here a little bit. I'm going to bet over. I'm going to go over 134 for Missouri and Tennessee and expect some offense here. Expect some offense from both Missouri and Tennessee to score. And I think there's a decent shot that, Missouri most likely won't cover this. They're 17-4. They've won two games in a row, but 133 is the total according to KenPom. So we're going a little bit over the 134 number, but I think just, pace of play, Missouri's not horrible. They're 179th in pace of play. It's not outstanding. Tennessee is super slow, like we know, 339, but Tennessee's all about their defense. Missouri, they're okay defensively. They're not outstanding, but offensively, they're 13th in efficiency and 16th in effective field goal percentage, 27th in three-point shooting, and 28th in two-point shooting. If they can score and push tempo a little bit here and make Tennessee play a little more on the up-tempo side, we're going to go over. Over 134 here for Tennessee and Missouri. All right, so 4 plays for us here, 3 tonight. Shortest touchdown in the Super Bowl, under 1.5 yards at minus 175. Bet that to win a half a unit. LSU and Georgia, under 142 at minus 110. Over 134 for Tennessee and Missouri at minus 110. And the Creighton Blue Jays laying 3.5 on the road against Providence for 1.1 units. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me across all of my socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning, wherever you get your podcasts. It is the Daily Juice.